In this low-income Toronto neighborhood, volunteers are preparing residents for the heat.
In the 60s, when they designed all these buildings, so basically the whole idea was to keep the heat inside.
The outside is around 30, then it can reach around 35 inside the room.
People who live in these types of buildings are particularly vulnerable. New research into BC's deadly heat dome found that poverty was the biggest risk factor. More than 600 people died over about a week in 2021.
Am I allowed to cry in this interview? I'm scared of summer. And I'm not scared for myself.
An unpublished study suggests people on government income assistance died at a disproportionately high rate during the heat dome.
That was the biggest risk factor for mortality during the heat dome.
That's no surprise to scientists who study climate change.
It's going to really exacerbate existing health disparities, and that we really need to buckle down and start to take this seriously.
Other people talk about the things they're excited for summer. They talk about going swimming, going to the beach. I think about who in my community is going to die.
Temperatures hit more than 40 degrees in Chilliwack during the heat dome. Q Lawrence gets by on disability assistance. They couldn't afford air conditioning.
Honestly, felt quite trapped for much of that time. There was a lot of time sleeping on the kitchen floor.
They say governments need to set maximum allowable indoor temperatures and fund air conditioning for poor and disabled Canadians.
There's the idea that air conditioning units are bad for the environment, and to that I say disabled people's lives are not on the chopping block.
The BC government says it's funding about 10,000 units for low-income households, but critics say that's not nearly enough. There are more than 380,000 people living in poverty in BC. Bethany Lindsay, CBC News, Vancouver.